So I want to talk about what a banana republic is. And there is a video from SGT Bull. I believe, let me double check, October 1st. He put it out. Um, Breaking update, Congressional martial law declared. That's his video. Now, that's what we're going to cover in this video. And it's going to let you know that the definition you're going to hear about a banana republic isn't some third world country you thought I might be talking about. Because when you hear the definition, you're going to say, oh my God, that's here. But first, they say in economics, a banana republic is a country operated as a commercial enterprise for private profit, effected by a collusion between the state and favored monopolies, in which the profit derived from the private exploitation of public lands is private property, while the debts incurred thereby are a public responsibility. Such an imbalanced economy remains limited by the uneven economic development of town and country and tends to cause national currency to become devalued paper money. And Silver Doctors they ran with this story today actually, and I read their site every day, and they referred to Sean's SGT Bulls video, and it's like 4 minutes, but it's great. It's an excellent, very short clip, down to the point, and it's spot on. I mean, it is absolutely spot on. And he also says, well, technically, Silver Doctor says this regarding his video, but even according to the Wikipedia link they put, the very definition of a banana republic is a politically unstable country whose economy is largely dependent upon exporting a limited resource product, like dollars. It typically has stratified social classes, excuse me, including a large impoverished working class and a ruling plutocracy of business, political, and military elites. This political economic oligarchy controls the primary sector productions to exploit the country's economy. And again, to include in that, any fees they rack up, any debt that they racked up to make themselves filthy rich goes in the backs of the taxpayers. Got to pay the tab. That extra bill you pay for not having health insurance, oh, it's for each adult in your house, it's this fee, and for each kid, it's that fee. So you may have this year, especially coming up, maybe a couple thousand or more penalty for not having health insurance. For not having health insurance. So what was that part about go back to the other definition, which the profit derived from the private exploitation of public lands is private property, while the debts incurred thereby are a public responsibility. And it says there's in a banana republic is a country operated as a commercial enterprise for private profit, effected by a collusion between the state and favored monopolies. So it's state, United States, favored monopoly insurance companies. You force the citizens to pay a fine if they do not have health insurance to the private monopoly. Whether I have insurance or not, health insurance or not, does not affect anybody. You can't argue, oh, then why do you need it for a car? Why do they force you for a car? Because if I crash into you and I don't have any money and I'm a former member of the poor middle class and got a pot to piss in, you're going to be upset that your car is destroyed by my negligence, and then finding out, well, he didn't have insurance and now you're stuck. So it's understandable. Why? Because I could ride a bike to work, I could walk to work, I could take public transportation to work, I could call a taxi cab to work. That's why you have to pay car insurance if you wish to drive a car. If I wish to not have medical insurance, health insurance, I shouldn't be paying a fine to the federal government through their IRS tax. So exploitation, they got to pay these fees that they've racked up. I think he mentions $8.5 trillion that the Pentagon and whatnot cannot account for in total now. And U.S. debt was $9 trillion just several years ago, and now it's over 18 trillion. They've declared, as he says, a de facto, it's a type of martial law for the Congress so that they can skip the normal processes in passing a law, such as finding out what the hell the law even says before I sign my name onto this and pass it. Skip that, just pass it. So all these procedural things they had to do, martial law, whatever they call it, the certain type of martial law in Congress, we don't have to do that. Because it's for budgetary purposes, we got to declare it. And then they go on to pass other little things while they're under that little martial law type thing. So let me just read you this from Silver Doctors. It's very interesting, and I'll link the, well, if I can remember. Sometimes I forget, it seems, but I'll link the video from SGT Bull. So it says, Congress declares martial law as dollar rapidly collapsing, quote, living in last days of this republic. And that's one thing SGT Bull says. The debt ceiling is returning to the forefront in American politics, again threatening a government shutdown. Last time, the shutdown resulted in sequester for many agencies that suspended work for many government employees. A great deal of political theater dominated the news cycle, but ultimately things returned to a basic normalcy. This time may be different, as a number of critical factors face Americans in 2015. Last week, Congress passed procedural martial law to address stopgap spending as it faces the debt ceiling crisis again for the millionth time. Meanwhile, this quietly announced martial law forced a vote on bills the same day, preventing members from even reading the legislation they are voting on to avert an October 1st government shutdown, which again, as you know, is come and gone because they went ahead and did it. The move, which was done just a few weeks prior, shows how desperate things have become. And the Hill reports, quote, for the second time in a month, the House on Tuesday invoked martial law to allow more expeditious consideration for a stopgap spending bill to avoid a government shutdown on October 1st. The use of martial law refers to bypassing the typical procedures that require the House to wait a day after the Rules Committee produces a rule establishing floor debate parameters before voting. House GOP leaders invoked martial law earlier this month to fast-track a spending bill. But they ultimately never had to use it after the Senate opted to go first with the spending bill. And as you know, the military-industrial complex, again, Banana Republic, monopolies, private enterprise, will not see, as I've said 100,000 times, will be no recession, will be no budget cuts. Even though Obama threatened to veto, you raise this defense budget, I'm going to veto it. What did they do? Got a supermajority vote in the Senate. We don't need your veto. We don't need your stinking signature. 38 additional billion, as I reported the other day, going to wartime funding type stuff. It's funny, I've heard Gerald Sante screaming for years. When they run out of things to do, when the Banana Republic is over and it's being exposed, they will take you to war. I thought we were pulling out of Syria. I thought I heard they said we're not going to fund the moderate rebels anymore. So Russia's in there, okay, but we're not going to do it. And then I hear yesterday we just shipped a whole 50 tons of ammunition or munitions to the moderate Syrian rebel group, which will quickly be bombed and destroyed by Russia. Take my tax dollars from my pocket by force, take my healthcare fee fine by force to help pay for your private military industrial complex buddies so that they can sell all this billions of dollars worth of stuff. They don't care. That there's not like, oh, we're Americans, we're proud Americans, and we're doing this for America and freedom. No, we are for-profit corporations. We don't hold any boundaries or call any place home. We go where we want to make war, and wherever there's war, there's profit, and we will make profit. They don't care that all the stuff that we just spent billions of dollars on giving to these moderate rebels has been destroyed by Russia just days ago and in the last couple of weeks. They don't care about that because now there's a second order. That stuff, it's kind of like I bought a whole bunch of pizzas for the party, and on my way over there, I dropped all of them, and they all got disgusting and fell over the floor. Sir, I can't give you them for free. I understand. I'll buy them again. I'll buy a second round of pizzas. That my mistake. I dropped them on the floor. Buy some more. Oh, thank you, sir. Dropped them again. I need another 20 sets of large pizzas. Could you know how happy he's going to be? He's going to be thinking in his mind, you moron, keep dropping them. Keep dropping them. I'm getting filthy rich here just off of you. This is fantastic. And that's what the military-industrial complex does. You see, it's not American government agencies creating these weapons and munitions and then selling them for our own country's profit. Oh, no. It's the private contractor and contracting companies that are making all of the profit. They don't care one bit that the weapons and other equipment was destroyed. They're saying, cha-ching, get ready for some more billion-dollar orders, boys, because we're going to ship some more right over there. 50 tons worth. Can you imagine how much money 50 tons worth of munitions costs? Not only that, they even have our military, taxpayer dollar, taxpayer gas, people on board the plane itself, etc., the manpower, all of the whole 9 yards, and other supporting agencies, all over the place. So that plane can go up there, drop those munitions. Here you go, moderate Syrian rebels. You may know them as ISIS. As I've already covered and blown wide open, ISIS is the Free Syrian Rebel Army. They are one and the same. Finkel is Einhorn, and Einhorn is Finkel. Done. So let me continue on here. It's just so disturbing to know this is happening, and to just sit here like this, do my little videos, and just yeah, another day, another 50 million videos I could do about the destruction of the country I loved and thought was great and thought was a fair play for everybody involved. And the more I read stuff every day, the more I figure out. Which there's no more figuring it out for me, honestly. I pretty much am at the top of my level of understanding. I think ain't no figuring out nothing. I know this is a banana republic run by oligarchs in their private military industrial complex, pharmaceutical industrial complex, entertainment industry industrial complex, insurance company industrial complex, you name it. They've got it all covered. As George Carlin once said, it's a big freaking club. It is. And you ain't in it. But you will pay for it. Because when they make mistakes or they lose money, they don't lose. Heads they win, tails you lose. Bailouts, TARP funds, trillions added to the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. Changed the law last year, the Dodd-Frank piece of it, what's left of that carcass, November of 2014. They changed the law. Now derivatives losses are FDIC insurance fundable. Oh, and also the section that said we ain't going to be bailing out foreign banks if that happens, scratch that out too. They're included as well. Why would that law be changed? To include foreign banks along with our own domestic banks for specifically derivative losses because they know they were coming. And people are still saying, what about September 23rd? And doesn't really look, nothing major, right? Yet all of this is happening. They've got the laws changed. They've got everything ready to deal with such an event that we all thought would be here to the day, late September. However, Lindsay said September through to December is what he was told. Still remains to be seen. I feel like I should give him a call here in the near future to just ask, hey, I know you don't do videos and stuff anymore. talk shows, radios, but you did give me your phone number and you did say I could call anytime. I'm just wondering, you heard anything from your buddy? Just out of curiosity, because I know Jim Willie's now saying the collapse of America has been postponed a year. Not exactly sure how he's so sure, but remains to be seen. The bottom line is that it honestly doesn't matter when you look at just the factual information. The deficit, this martial law crap happening in Congress, budget fights again. Things are getting worse. Worse job numbers. HSBC and these we're dropping 50,000. I think it was HSBC. 50,000 employees. We're going to cut them, and 50,000. That's not a tiny amount. There must be some major change coming. Got Deutsche Bank on the rocks, Glencore on the rocks, Trafigura on the rocks, and how many others that we don't even know about yet, in which there's been some disasters behind the scenes here recently with the markets the way they've been moving, and companies like Trafigura pretty much going kaput. Their days are numbered, and Glencore. All of a sudden, the head of Trafigura, founding guy, found dead in Bogota, Colombia. As soon as the news breaks, oh, he's found dead. He died of a heart attack peacefully in the middle of the night. He wasn't even living there. I thought he lived in like France or somewhere. And someone, I think it was Big Swear, commented, yeah, he goes where the rest of the club goes to fake death and live in retirement. They give you the fake story, go down there with the boys and down in Colombia. You can see it everywhere. Look at, again, I did a video on Venezuela. Their dollar 6.2 or 3 to 1 of ours. Not that long ago, it was nowhere near that. Brazil 4 to 1, which I'm not even sure where it's at this second, but very recently it was 4 to 1. How many other countries are moving like that? Can you imagine living over there? I mean, this is happening now. We just don't feel it because we're the ones who have been pulling the strings of the world. And our dollar, which has been the world reserve currency, is on its way out to be replaced by China. And as SGT Bull says, the basket of currencies with the SDR, which is the special drawing rights currency from the club's IMF. And I find that interesting because Lindsey Williams, a while ago, said that the new replacement, when this goes down, when it's all said and done, first you would see Europe, he said. Euro would go first. You would have weeks to get your stuff together from what he was told before it came here in America. So it'll happen in Europe, Euro first, then America. And he said ultimately when the dust settles, when all of it happens, SDR is the currency that they want to put in play. And I did a video recently about this, well, not that recently, but fairly recently, where I talked about China wanted to be involved in the SDR basket, and they said, no, not yet. So China said, well, I guess we got to do what we got to do. And they dumped a whole crap load of U.S. treasuries and instantaneously found another one of their warehouses on the coast exploding. Coincidental. And they pretty much said, we got to do what we got to do. We weren't invited to be in the basket. We wanted to be, but you didn't let us, and we had to sell, and we have to do what we got to do, essentially. Now, all of a sudden, I'm hearing, well, let me Google this, make sure I'm accurate. Chinese yuan accepted SDR. That just heard this recently, like that they just changed their mind. Like, oh, and it was the U.S. I'm seeing older news right now on this. But here's one from The Economist, August 5th. China knocks on the reserve currency door. Yeah, you can bet they did. Rarely in their 46-year history have special drawing rights commanded quite so many headlines. SDRs play a mostly arcane role in the global financial system, blah, blah, blah. Now, China, eager to make the yuan go global, has placed SDRs in the spotlight. The International Monetary Fund, which manages the SDRs, is conducting a 5-yearly review of the basket of currencies that form its value. China wants to bring the yuan into the basket. And as I heard very, very recently, they did a little 360, and you know what? Or 180, I should say. Maybe we will let China in, have their currency in here. Oh, here's a shocker. So he says, in the video from SGT report, he talks about the following things. The dollar is collapsing. China is demanding a reset of the global currency standards, which would officially end the dollar's reign as a reserve currency. In its place, a global reserve currency plan since 2009 is forming, using a basket of currencies as value and SDRs as a drawing mechanism on the global stage. And keeping in mind, Lindsey Williams said, and by the way, to back what he said about the SDR, IMF Gold Holdings, Google, tell me what you have. September 29, 2015. Fact sheet from the IMF. Gold in the IMF, September 29th. IMF holds around 90.5 million ounces or 2,000, not 2.8, 2,814 metric tons of gold at designated depositories. So I want to also show you something. Countries' gold holdings. See if we can find that, shall we? Here's a nice little chart for you. And because I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to quickly pull a Bill O'Reilly and do it live. Write it down, do it live. Freaking thing sucks. Save that, save to my desktop, untitled picture. Go into my handy dandy recording thingy. Give me 1 second. Let's drag this bad boy over here. Who is number 2? And no, I'm not talking about Austin Power. Who does number 2 work for? Who is number 2 and 3? United States, again, allegedly, but let's just say this is accurate, has the most gold holdings. And this is top 40 according to World Gold Council September 2015 rankings. Now, I got a sneaky suspicion. China's going to blow some people out of the water with the real numbers of gold that they have. But let's look back at that. First, second, and third. These are countries, right? Naturally. The United States, supposed to be the world's most powerful, biggest economy, blah, 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 is number 1. You would expect that. Then number 2 is Germany. And honestly, number 2 could be any Western country for all I care. But do you mean to tell me that a private organization that is not a country, that was started in the United States of America with the Bankers Club members running this thing, known as the IMF, has the 3rd most gold holdings in the world, allegedly, according to this chart? Now, why would the IMF want so much gold? As Ben Bernanke said, when asked by Ron Paul, is gold money? No. Then why do central banks hold it? Well, why don't they hold pearls or something else? It's just tradition. I saw the video. Loved when Ron Paul nailed him. 3rd place. Let's look at this again. IMF, International Monetary Fund, in 3rd place. What did Lindsey Williams say would happen when all of this ultimately goes down? The new currency system will be based upon a country's net worth of its assets. And take a wild guess what the biggest asset of any country will be considered. Maybe you didn't see that. What's on that little 3rd line over? Gold holdings in tons. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, United States, Germany, and IMF. Again, put this into perspective. This is not a country. This is a privately owned organization that is in third place of gold across the entire planet? Why? I already told you why. When they pull the trigger and the economies start going and the dollars of the world start going and the US dollar is kicked out of reserve currency status, they're going to have all these countries, and even if China says, okay, we'll take the big bulk of world currency, if you will, in the SDR, but the SDR, which is the IMF's currency, is a basket of other countries' currencies. And if you take that basket and say it's also backed by gold, you're going to have to need a lot of gold to push that one, aren't you? IMF's doing quite well. They're in third place, aren't they? Isn't that amazing? So I'm going to stop here. I've been talking long enough. And I'm going to link SGT Bull's video. And I ain't got nothing else to say right now except, honestly, I can't wait to see how this goes down. This may be painful. This may be painful for all of us, but that doesn't change anything. Me telling you that I can't wait for this to happen to see what the hell they really do and how they pull this off doesn't change anything. They're doing it anyways. So for some people, oh, why do you want that to happen, man? You talk like, oh, I don't want it to happen. But when I see the balloon getting bigger and bigger, debt, more taxes, more everything coming, I don't want that. I want that to collapse and go away. So if it means the whole entire worldwide system has to collapse, and it's going to because that's their designed plan, it's a movie script that's already written, the movie's playing. All I can do is sit here, even though I'm inside the movie, so to speak. I can't change it. I can't rewrite the words. I can't rewrite the scripts. And as a matter of fact, I tried to block an actor one time, so to speak, right? And they went right through me like I was invisible. You can't do anything about it. But if you say, well, this is a movie script and there's a start and there's a end, and I see how it's started, I see that where we're at in the middle, this is not looking good. I'm pretty sure I know what the ending's going to be. I can't affect it, but from what I can see, it's not going to be pleasant for anybody except for the club. And as George Carlin said, I'm not a member of the club. What can I do to help protect myself? Stand by. There's your answer. There is your answer. Precious metals. And since gold is quite expensive to obtain, silver is its little brother. Its little brother. And if they're going to be using it for some reason in the future that they're not going to tell you about right now, but you can see the writing on the wall, then by God, I want some too. It has 6,000 years of history of being money. We have a little over 100 years or whatever, technically around the world, of trying this whole paper debt system, except only in very recent times was it backed by nothing, such as our currency, 1971, took us off the gold standard, and it was pure fiat ever since. And they say when fiat money is in play, the average lifespan. See, I was gonna get off. I was gonna stop and end it. I can't. I got to tell you more. Can't do it. 39-year lifespan of paper unbacked, in other words, fiat currency. Average lifespan 39 years. Some died a little earlier, some died a little later, but the bottom line is it is approximately 39, 40 years. So bear with me. 1971, 1981, 10 years. 1991, 20 years. 2001, 30 years. 2011, 40 years. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 4 more years on top of the 40. Again, 39-year average. That means a pretty normal, coherent person would say, huh, I think we're overdue for one, no? By God, you're right. And you don't want to be having any part of that. Get yourself some precious metals. I sold all my gold, not that I had a lot at the time, had a very little bit, had plenty of silver then, and decided I don't care, I want more silver, and I sold my gold for silver, and I have been, the only gold in my possession is some jewelry, basic jewelry. I am all in on silver. I trust in it way more. I see the things behind it, not just the industrial use, the fact that the mint's breaking records, other mints are breaking records selling silver. And we also know it has been one of the hardest pressed down price-wise precious metals. They love to smash silver. The ratio from gold to silver, or silver to gold, is somewhere around, I don't even know what it is right this second, but it's around 70 or so, somewhere around there, to 1. 70 ounces of silver buys you 1 ounce of gold, when for thousands of years, it has normally been around 16 to 1, sometimes 20 to 1. It would fluctuate a little bit too, but that was about it. And only over this last century, essentially, and even up until the 1960s, I think the ratio was similar. So, and I want to say that that's pretty accurate. I want to say from the ratio standpoint of silver and gold. But 60 years ago, let's say, is when it all changed. And I've got thousands of years of history showing that it goes back in line when it needs to. And it's 70 to 1. If it went from there to today, silver would quadruple instantly, practically. If nothing else happened, just that. Where it's at right now, it would quadruple. So then you take in the fact when all this goes down and people are rushing, as the Webbot report's been talking about for a while now, mad rush to own silver, mad rush to own silver. It's coming. I don't know if it's going to be this month. I don't know if it's going to be next month. I don't know if it'll even be this year. And to be quite frank with you, I don't care. All I know is I have it. It's secure. And when the day comes, and it is coming, hopefully, and I'm pretty sure when I say hopefully this time, it won't be too bad for me and other people who have decided to buy it in advance to wait for this event so that when the tough times get here, you have some wiggle room with your precious metals. And if they go crazy in prices because there's such a panic to own it, you could sell some or all of it, yes, for unbacked paper fiat dollars. But if you get a ton of money for these silver coins and you say, oh my God, I never, ever, ever, ever thought I would be able to pay off my house, my car, my boat, my credit card, whatever you have with the silver. This is just to keep me through a hard time. Oh my God, I just paid off my house with this. You'll be shaking like, oh my God, this can't be. I've been waiting all these years. Oh my. That's what's going to happen. And I got a video that I've had for a long time. It's actually on YouTube. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It will be re-uploaded. And it is most appropriate. And you are going to love it when I re-up it. And the only time I'm going to re-up it is when precious metals, especially silver, break out significantly. Even if we don't even get into the crazy numbers, as soon as I see a huge breakout, the video will be posted. And when you see that video, you will know from here on out, silver and gold are the thing to be. It's the thing to have. And these guys were right all these years. This proves it. I've been waiting all this time to re-release this video. It's a parody. Some of you may know what it already is. I did it a while ago. It's excellent. It's one of my favorites that I've ever done. So with that, take care.